Yes, I'm ready. All right. Welcome to UACNJ. All right. So while perhaps the rest of our actual live crowd is settling in here, I want to welcome everyone who's in our live crowd and our online audience. We are actually streaming this to YouTube live. So if you ever can't get a reservation, you want to check us out. You okay there, Ken? We can hear you. All right. So if you ever want to check us out live and you can't get a reservation here, go check us out on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our website. You can get a link to our live stream YouTube page. And if the weather's ever less than ideal, where we have to cancel our live presentation, we will still be doing the live stream portion on YouTube, so you can still enjoy the presentation. So, a couple things with COVID. We do ask that you do keep socially distanced, and while you are around people, you do remain masked. That's for our protection as well as yours. So, tonight's presentation is Astronomy for Beginners with Ken Taylor. Ken Taylor has nearly a decade of experience as an amateur astronomer and astrophotographer. His astronomy photographs have been featured in each edition of our UACNJ calendar available in the gift shop. Ken is a member of Northwest Jersey Amateur Astronomers in Blairstown and enjoys having fun while entertaining all who want to know a little about astronomy. So if you've ever found yourself looking up at the sky at night and you could be a budding astronomer, Astronomy for Beginners will give you a brief glimpse into some of the things you may need to start your astronomy journey. So with that, please welcome Ken Taylor.
I like starting out with this if I can. What the heck? Everybody thinks I'm an alien anyway. So, who's ever looked through a telescope? I can't see anybody. It's dark out here. Somebody turn on the lights? No? Okay. Good. So, the key to the whole thing is one, you're interested. Two, yes, I've been a part of this organization for more than 10 years, closer to 14. And everything I've learned, so if I say something wrong, they taught me. So, the end results are, I do my best. Number two, if you ask a question, please raise your hand, just whatever. If you guys want to move in closer, you're more than welcome. But if you sense any hesitation on my part, if they're you asking that question, and I give you an answer, it's a 50-50 shot I'm lying to you. No doubt about it. With that.
One thing with the questions, I just do ask that you do raise your hand so I can run over with the mic. I will retain control of the mic, but just so the online audience can hear the question. And we will have a question and answer session at the end. So,
with that, again, welcome this evening. Again, UACNJ has been here for over 30 years. End results are, we'll be here for hopefully another 30. Astronomy for Beginners, believe me, again, like the story said that Tim just gave you, as a young boy, I always looked, was always intrigued by the evening sky. Everybody's looked up in the sky, looking at the stars, wondering what the heck they're looking at. End results are is that, you've asked, what is really out there? What am I looking at? Is what I'm going to see in a telescope the same as I see in a magazine? Anybody see exactly what you saw in a magazine? It's called timed exposure, long time exposure. End results are is that you can't perceive stuff with your naked eye, as well as a camera that's opened up and collecting light for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, even 8. That's another subject, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So, do you believe what you see in the magazine, so on and so forth? You'll have a chance with a telescope with a little education and some understanding of the night sky, you'll know that it's real. Keep an open mind when you look through a telescope. The whole idea is to get out of it what you're seeing, and ask the questions and getting the answers. Thank God for Google. You might be interested in the sun. Yes, you can take pictures of the sun and everything through a properly equipped telescope, but never, ever use your eye through a non-properly equipped telescope or a pair of binoculars. You'll burn your eye, done, in less than a half a second. So make sure that you're looking at the sun. Is this solar? Ask the question. But yeah, you can see a lot of stuff. And we have several solar telescopes here. You might be interested in the planets within our solar system. There's times, anybody seen planets? Nobody. Wow. 2, 3, 4. Good. What planet? Mars. Venus, Jupiter. Very good. We get them all here. We had the conjunction of both Saturn and Jupiter earlier in the summer. And if Mars is right there, it's the other side of those clouds, but Mars is right there. Since we're talking about planets, okay, how many days does each planet take to make one orbit of the sun? How many days does it take Earth? 365? Okay, good. 365 days. Let me ask you this question. How many days or how many years, hint, does it take for Pluto to go once around the sun? 256? Anybody else? Good. You're close, 256. I believe it's 248. Let's see. Right down here, 248 years. So, in this particular situation, talking about astronomical terms, it was discovered in the 1930s. It was declassified as a planet in the 80s, 90s, 80s, 90s, something like that. So in less than 1/4 of a time, a very short period of time of its orbit, it was classified as a planet and declassified. And again, you can look at the rest of them here. Again, Jupiter is 12 years. Mercury being the fastest, being closest to the sun, 3 months. Less than 3 months. So let's look at the individual planets now. As I mentioned on the bottom of this slide, Mercury has a lot of craters on it. Next, it's not our moon. Then we have Venus and the moon. You notice I missed the planet, Earth. How come I don't have a picture of Earth? We're standing on it. Take a picture of the ground and say that's Earth. I should do that. That's actually good. Picture of my foot on the ground. That's a picture of Earth. Mars, 2 moons. Yes, in our telescopes here, you can actually see portions of the ice caps. Not in this clarity, but definitely portions of it. These are not pictures taken from here. This I pulled off the internet. 2 moons. I got to make a correction here. I don't want to be in anybody's way. 67 moons for Jupiter. Wrong. Thank God to the Hubble and some of the other technology that we have out in space currently. There's over 70, I think there's 73. Any corrections out there? On the internet? Google it. I'd like to find out. Okay? 62 moons with Saturn. Saturn, good story. Again, this is astronomy for beginners. I bought my first telescope on Craigslist. end results are is that a friend of mine come over who happened to be a teacher, and he was a science teacher. End results is that he actually took my telescope and said, here, look at this. And he showed me Saturn. That paid for, as far as I was concerned, the $300 I paid for my first telescope. Because it is majestic, and it's right there in the sky with the rings around it. No, you wouldn't see it in this kind of clarity, but you most definitely would be able to see the shape of the rings and separation. Separation between the planet and the rings. Huh? Guess what? I was wrong there too. 82 moons around Jupiter. Oh, Saturn? Okay, 82. Well, Jupiter. Okay, Google Jupiter. Uranus has rings, but we only discovered that when we had one of our telescopes. That'll go out in a second. There you go. One of our telescopes pointed at that and set out in that direction, and it wasn't until we were there that we knew that it had rings. Go ahead. I thought that was a raised hand. Neptune, there you go. So again, there's a lot of planets, and you can see them. And Neptune, Venus, you're basically going to see them just like you see them here. They're cloudy planets. End results are they're a blue ball or greenish ball, depending on your vision. Mine's terrible. So, and then as far as I'm concerned, here is Pluto. Pluto's got 5 moons. You want to Google that one? This is a bunch of facts. Basically, some of it we went over, which was the orbit around the sun. It's available online if you look for it. Again, planet facts and planets in our universe system, our solar system. Right there. Now, here comes the amazing part. We live on a big planet, right? Not. Let's look at some comparison to what things are out there that might even be bigger or extremely bigger than our solar system here. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. We're going to do this one first. I got no sound. Ooh. Keep your eye on Earth. Okay, so they pulled it out of frame. Brightest star in our solar system. Our solar system in our night sky. That's Earth. Also, the one other fact that was on a previous video showing the same situation. Let's get rid of this, freeze that, get out of that, and get out of... Is that... this better not be playing. Whatever. It would take a jet airplane 14,000 or 1,400 years to fly around that last star. Just to give you an idea. How do I do this? So here we go through our solar system, or through our galaxy and everything. Our sun. Again, just giving you some sort of perspective on what size things are. What size things are. What size things are as far as comparison to everything else. Right now, Voyager would look back at this. That being 1 light year. .3. So as you can see, as this goes through, it's quite a bit of a distance to other things as far as what is in space, what I've taken pictures of, and where we are as far as in the rest of the universe, or even galaxy. Sorry about that background. Blah. That figures. That quit on me. Hey, Jeffrey. My pointer and mouse are not working. It did work. Hold on a second, people. I'm just going to reboot this back up. I apologize, everyone. I'm just bringing it back up. This isn't working, nor was my mouse. Come on. I apologize, everyone. Any questions, at least initially here? None. Okie doke. Let's try it from here. Now it works. All right. My favorite subjects are deep space objects, DSOs. Maybe you might be interested in them, such as, of course, comets. We've had a few, and we have pictures of them within our observatory house here, which we can't let you in. And you can find them on the internet. Your interest might be even galaxies. Cool stuff out there. Or, again, nebula. This does happen to be a picture of a nebula that I took. It's 1,500 light years away. Anybody understand our concept of light year? Okay. It's the amount of time 1 year light travels, but that we compute that into a distance. That distance is 5.964 trillion miles. Somebody with a calculator big enough to go to that number, have at it. It's 1,500 times 5 trillion miles. We'll make it simple. Heck with the point. The other thing is that if I was to turn, and we'll go back a little bit, if I was to turn a switch on right now of the sun, it wouldn't be light here for another 8.5 minutes. It's not like your light in your room where mom tells you, go in, clean up your room. I can't find the garbage that you say is in the corner. Turn on the light. Well, the sun takes 8.5 minutes to get to us before it gets light here. I use the example, it's the same as water coming out of a squirt gun. Where's my volunteer? Oh, hi, how are you? So, here I am. I'm pushing the gun now. Now it hit the top of the... Sorry, if anybody's in the bathroom, I'm sorry. Good. That amount of time is from me to there. Sun travels at light speed. okay? But it takes 8.5 minutes to get to us from the sun. End results are the pictures of the Horsehead Nebula that I showed a few seconds ago. This was taken 2 years ago. I'm not gonna do the math. The heck with it. But the light emitted from that nebula was traveling through space for 1,500 years for my camera to actually capture that light. It's kind of like a little spooky and a little bit weird, just like me. Busting of my chops is well warranted here, guys. Have at it. That figures. I touched the wrong thing. Let's get that back up. Okay. So, some like to look up in the... Has anybody looked up in the sky and saw a star move? Ever so slightly, it's moving slowly through the sky. It's not a star. It's a satellite. Did anybody happen to see, you did, happen to see the International Space Station go over last Saturday? It was visible. It's as bright as... Can you see my red light on the tree over here? It's about twice as bright as that, about the same size. So if you see, and that takes about 4.5 minutes to go from one side to the other in the horizon, depending on where the Earth's shadow is. It might disappear about here. If it's coming from here, it might disappear about 30 degrees because it's going into Earth's shadow. End results are, as you might be looking up at the stars and see something like a star moving around. End results are, it ain't a star. I got this off the internet. It's a Tesla. No lie. Anybody remember when he put it up? I think I heard a uh-huh. Okay. So, it was actually a Tesla. That's Starman sitting right there. But why does he have his roof off? His hair can't get messed. Yep, that's right. There's no wind. But he's definitely going to get a sunburn if he takes that helmet off. Or you might be running into one of these guys. Again, I bring this particular situation up because, again, movies use some fact and stretch it, obviously, to make their movies. Also, scientists use the movies, or astronomers, amateur, who know a lot about the moon. End results is they used amateur astronomers when they landed on the moon in 1969. Hate doing this. A car traveling through space, it's kind of like kid-oriented. You know, here you go, somebody sending up a car. Pfft, what a joke and a half, but who knows? Maybe one of you younger guys out there might be one of the next ones to send a car up. Let me know. Total waste of time. Why don't you do some science? If everybody would like to look, and it's only because it's just a little bit clearer, if you look where I'm pointing, over in this direction, if anybody can see this one star there, up in this direction here, can you see it through the trees? Okay, that's Sirius. That's the brightest star in our that we can see over our sky. It is not the North Star. One of the other things, anybody younger guys, or even the older guys, because I like it, is Exploration Outer Space. Great show, because it does take into consideration science and where we might be going and where we are going and what's currently under development to go into space. Anybody got the apps? Good. I get a phone pointed at me. So, an app, there's several apps that you can get to, which again will give you the positioning of stars. What am I looking at over here? And you'll find out what you're looking at. Also, International Space Station, we're not that god-awful smart, because we have to use the internet to actually find, when's the space station coming over? There's an app that you can actually get when it's coming over our section of the sky. So therefore, you can be ready for it the next time it flies over. Somebody told me, what was it, April 23rd? Yeah. 23rd. April 23rd will be the next flyover of the International Space Station here in New Jersey. Sky Maps is one of my favorites. I use several. Sky Chart is also, and they're all free. So the price is just like us. Stellarium. Stellarium is a application online. It's a planetarium. You know, when you've gone into the planetariums where they put the projections on a round screen and so on and so forth, they show you what's overhead. They zoom in and zoom out. This is the same thing, except you can put it on your own computer. It's free. Not for a mobile phone. They charge you like $2.99. Great, great program. I like it. Several people have other opinions. There's several out there. End results is that you can actually look at what the night sky looked like the day you were born, the night you were born. You were born in a day, it was that night, the night before. This is Stellarium right here, actually, and this is from 2007. So this is the type of screen you would see. You can rotate this around so you can see what's on the other side of the sky. Also, again, phases of the moon, and also zoom into these areas and also say, okay, where are their galaxies? Where are their star clusters? Where are their open clusters? Interesting stuff. So you can do that at home and learn a little bit more. Getting into astronomy for beginners, getting into the equipment. Binoculars, telescopes, all different sizes, all different lengths, all different magnifications. So let me tell you, I asked somebody already earlier this evening if they had binoculars with them on a clearer night than what we have here. I'd be able to point out the Orion Nebula, Andromeda, and several other objects in the sky. And again, I learned it from everybody here. Pair of binoculars, great choice because they're inexpensive, they're portable. My telescope altogether weighs about 110 pounds, so I'm not dragging it all over the place with me. Binoculars you can bring anywhere. It's great. You learn how to do star hopping. Once we found Sirius. What's by Sirius? Well, Sirius is very close to Orion, which is in this area here, which we can't see. So once you start learning the individual stars, and then you're going to find out what things you can actually look at. One with binoculars and two with a telescope. These binoculars are too small. Don't waste your money. But again, these are a little bit too big. Not very portable. I don't know. Is it a building? Anybody into Photoshop? Because I don't know. It looks almost real. Here's a nice starting pair, so on and so forth. You can buy them for, again, this program here is about 3 years old. So it might be $59. You can buy a pair in Walmart. Again, at any garage sale, as I say down on the bottom, my first pair was $10 at a garage sale. Guess what? Make sure they're not dirty and dusty and broken. You got a pair of binoculars. You don't have to use them during the night. You can use them during the day too. But you most definitely can learn how to start star hopping with a pair of binoculars. I'm blocking you guys out here, I understand. I got to stay in this area though. Over by, huh? Oh, Best is over there. You know what? Best is over here. Here's a nice picture taken of the night sky. See this here? If anybody's got good eyes, you can read it, but anybody know what it is? Nobody's helping me here now. That's Andromeda. So you have Andromeda right there, and you'd be able to see it a little less defined. You wouldn't be able to see this real bright spot. You'd see a blurry right about in this area here. And if you know where to look, You can you look at it, and guess what? That's what a pair of binoculars. You're now looking at something that is 2.4 million light years away. So you don't need a big telescope. 2.5, whatever. 2.6, whatever. It's approximately, it's about, if you were to see this blur, you'd only see a small portion of it, but it's about 2.5 times the size of a full moon. So if you can put your full moon here, it's about, I'm looking at it right here by me, you can't see that, but it's about 4.5 inches. You wouldn't be able to perceive it with your eye, all of it, but with a camera, you could. I think I bring a picture of one a little bit later on. There's different types of telescopes if you get into telescopes. You have a Newtonian, which is right here. Again, it is a, because I have a mirror back here, it is a reflector. Thank you, Kim. Reflecting. It's coming off of a mirror. So the light's coming in the front of the telescope. This is the Newtonian. It's coming down in here, bouncing off a mirror, coming up, hitting a mirror located approximately here, and then out to an eyepiece. That's not an eyepiece. That's a finder telescope. It's on the other side. You have also another reflector, different type of design. This is my telescope, where again, reflecting up to another mirror and then back out to another mirror, which makes it an angle and comes out to your eye. Good telescope, good for photography, depending on what you're looking for in the sky to take a picture of. The reason I say that, if you'd like, here's something to learn about telescopes. Let's finish up this screen here. Refractor. Refractor has lenses. So in other words, you have a refractor. It's got a glass lens inside. It might have a secondary lens. It might even have a third lens. And then out. This is where the light's coming through and then hitting your eye. The length, focal length, it's focal length. The length of the telescope is really, really important, especially if you know what you want to look at. If it's something that's big, Andromeda, guess what? You don't want a big telescope. I look at it through my telescope, which is 8 inches in diameter, but it actually, if I take my focal length out, again, it's a mirror, and then back out. Mine is about from that pole to about here, if it was all stretched out like the refractor. So, but because of that, if you take your hand, make a circle, put it up against your eye, I can see from here to here. But now I'm going to get a bigger telescope with a longer focal length. I put it up against here. Now I'm seeing from here to here. So you can see how it's going like this. So if I'm looking at a big object, I want a shorter focal length. Little bit of astrophotography. Does it help anybody? I didn't think so. Telescope mounts make a big difference too. Knowing what things in the sky, as we were just talking about with binoculars, the first telescope over here, on this one side here is 100% manual. So is this one here. It's 100% manual. So knowing where you're pointed at in the sky will refine your finding of different objects. Because if I'm looking over here for Mars, but Mars is over here, guess what? You ain't going to see nothing. You'll see stars, but you won't find Mars. Mars is easy to find. I know. So, again, they work with a worm gear. I get into some stuff. But you got to know where to point it. Don't get me wrong. I have a guy here who's been doing astronomy for more than 30 years. He has a totally manual telescope. Like the Newtonian I showed you earlier. Did you want to see a nebula? Okay, fine. Go ahead, take a peek. He can find, so again, with a little bit of experience, you'll be able to find those big objects maybe. Maybe even get as good as this gentleman I'm talking about. His name is Greg Takish. Great guy. Learned a lot from him. He's still a member here. Then you can get lazy like I am and get a computerized mount. Computerized mount basically, as long as it is set up properly. What I mean by set up properly, my scope, again, is very similar to this one right here. It's pointed up in the sky, but it's also, if it's properly set up, it's pointed at Polaris. So knowing where Polaris is, focusing on it, then going through a computerized routine, which is built into the mount. And it doesn't take long. It didn't take me that long. It might have taken me 2, 3, maybe 4 months. No, it took me a couple of days till I got it down. But once I had that and it was properly set up, I could look at and point my telescope at over 1,500 things in the sky over our head right now. We have an occasional star popping. I'm going to try to quicken it up. Yeah, I'm going to quicken it up. This is a little bit too big of a telescope. Believe it or not, this is a collapsible telescope. This telescope came in the back of a GMC Envoy, which is a medium-sized SUV. He set it up, and I got to tell you, because of its size, which was 32 inches, the mirror size, which is down here, 32 inches, I got one of the best views of several objects that I've ever seen, even today. But it also is probably about an $8,000 telescope, $10,000 telescope. No hesitation, so I'm close. Not hearing you.
Hello? Yeah, now it's gone. It's probably more than that, by several magnitudes.
Thanks. You want to kick me in the butt again?
Don't make me come over there.
Astronomy is a hobby for everybody, okay? I'll be very honest with you. I'm 66 years old, and I only got involved with astronomy at about 54, 52. I wish don't get me wrong, I always looked up in the sky, but I never looked through a telescope, never had one of my very own telescopes. But when I started looking at it, it's great. And again, this is something, when you guys travel, wherever you might be traveling to, always do yourself a great big favor. After it gets dark for a little while, go out and look at the night sky. Hopefully, we don't go out and look at the night sky in New York. You're going to see nothing. But Wyoming, hey. Go ahead, you're going to add something?
That being said, we do have a number of observers of the club who are based out of New York. And while you can't get as many deep sky options in New York City, they do actually photograph the moon, several planets and whatnot. Occasionally, if there's a power out, you can get some more things. But I do know there are clubs such as AAA out there who are based in New York and do image and view regularly. And I think there's a couple of sidewalk astronomy programs too.
I mean, there's things out every place to go look at. Do yourself a favor. Don't put it too low and find a window. I got in trouble once. No, I did not.
Once?
No. Oh, come on. Okay, so no, I mean, it's really a cool hobby, especially in the winter was when we take normally, when we're really banging with astrophotography in the winter. Again, humidity is gone, air is drier, you can see stuff a lot clearer, especially 1, it's not snowing, 2, no clouds, 3, no wind. Wind is not our friend. I believe it was him. This gentleman here, one of our other members who lives very close, had to come up here just to check out to see who was still up here because he knew we were taking photography. He was up here. It was 19 degrees. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I like astrophotography. I've started creeping more and more to spring. Boy, look at this guy. Again, he likes looking at stars any time of the year. This is the gentleman I was talking to. and that's his Dobsonian. This is Greg Takish. This is my telescope. Of course, there's better viewing in the winter, but all of the months you can get good viewing depending, of course, on the weather. The field that's right next to us here, people bring their own telescopes. Bring them. If we have the ability, especially on COVID, we probably would be able to help you out with learning how to use your telescope. It doesn't bother us at all. Find me, find several of the other members. More than happy to teach you about your telescope, how to set it up, how to use it properly. And that's exactly, this is that field. There's probably about 25 people in that field, not with telescopes, but around telescopes. Notice everybody here is all facing the same direction, and they're looking up at something like way up here. They were looking at the International Space Station flyover. And of course, here's that same field, with some of the other telescopes that have shown up, and actually people were using them here. Here's UACNJ. Normally, we apologize because of COVID. Normally, you would be sitting inside here with a presentational screen there. Warm, rain, we have it here. Rain here, now, currently, ain't happening. There's a museum inside that is not open. One of our charter members, Gil Jeffer, and this is where we are here currently. The other thing is, and I've told some people also already about this, the new 48-inch reflector telescope coming soon. I've been saying this for about 7-8 years. It's still coming. It's here, but we haven't gotten it equipped and set up yet. But this is the telescope. This will be on the last pad all the way in the back corner. It is a 48-inch decommissioned ICBM tracking telescope from the U.S. Air Force. It's worth about $1.2 million. It was donated from the U.S. government to us and NJIT. It was a collaboration between the two of us because of what they represented and what we have. We have an outreach program. Normally on a non-COVID year, our outreach program has 26 to 3,000 people. That's usually very common every year. Right now, we're lucky if we hit 700. Please?
Yep, with that, we had been making more progress with plans for that and whatnot. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, oddly enough, government paperwork slowed down quite a bit.
And results are, so did the money associated with that paperwork. I said this is going to be the largest non-publicly owned telescope east of the Mississippi. There happens to be one other larger. It happens to be 5 miles away from here. And it is a 50-inch telescope owned by one of our members here. Actually, the president of the club, my club and Kim's club, and that's NWJAA. So he does have pictures of the telescope up. So you could actually look at that if you wanted to. I think that's an org, correct? NWJAA org. I'm 99.9% sure. There's lots to see in outer space, and we can see them right here in New Jersey. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. If you have any questions, remember my hesitation warning, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you, Ken, for this presentation. Thank you guys for joining us. So a couple housekeeping things. We're going to do a question and answer session now, and I do have actually a couple questions lined up in our online chat. And while I'm stalling for a little bit of time to let our online chat ask some more questions, there are a few housekeeping things. If you do need to use the bathroom, the public restroom is to my right or your left in the porta potty. To my left or your right, I do have a gift shop. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on any donations do help us keep afloat. We are a nonprofit. Everyone you see here working does not get paid. But we do keep our lights on and are able to offer free public programs because you guys have supported us so generously. And thank you for, I noticed there were a couple returning faces that have generously donated in the past. And I want to thank you guys for supporting us through the COVID years, because we know a lot of our sister clubs and whatnot were not doing so hot with this COVID. So,
Questions?
the first question I have for you, Ken, is what is your favorite deep space object?
One I shown, the one that I really enjoyed, obviously, was the Horsehead Nebula. Again, just because of its size, its shape, its colors, and I also like, because I get to test people what this thing looks like when it looks like this. And I have everything from a dragon, a snake, a dog, whatever. And that's not a bad answer, but it's called the Horsehead Nebula.
Right. Are there any questions in our chat? I'll come up with the microphone so you, our online audience, can also hear them. So if you want to raise your hand.
I wouldn't be able to see him anyway.
I have slightly better eyesight than you, I think.
Who said that?
Oh, I see someone coming.
Okay. Can you create a black hole with your own voice?
Can we see a black hole?
No, can you create a black hole with your own voice? Like,
I didn't.
can you create a black hole with your own voice?
Can you see a black hole?
No, like as in make one. I want to say no.
A black hole with my voice?
I mean, we can scare away a lot of people, but I think the unaided human voice.
It's not going to happen with your voice.
It would have to have several mechanical and whatnot.
Astronomical events actually happen to create a black hole is created by an exploding star of an enormous size compared to our sun.
Would Earth still be stable if the sun and the moon were still there, but no other planets?
Would the Earth still be what?
Would the Earth be stable if all the other planets and whatnot in our solar system disappeared, but we still had the sun and moon?
Wonderful. And that's a real good question. Here's one for you, and it'll help explain it. Number one, the Earth is being held in its orbit by the sun. The Earth's gravity is holding the moon in its orbit around the Earth. So, if the moon would still be around us, one, we wouldn't probably be able to see it too good. Number two, we'd be traveling through space, drifting, I'll call it. And the reason I say this is that if you look it up on the internet, on the International Space Station, there was one of the astronauts did an experiment. I'm all done with it, John. He says, okay, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I got one other thing. What? He says, I just want to try something. He glided over to his little satchel and pulled out a Ziploc bag with some salt. I'm not sure if it was salt, sand, or just sugar. He took the bag and he shook it. Now in space, if I bounce stuff all over the place, guess what? It'll go all over the place inside the contained container, okay? Which was the bag. And then he held it up to the camera and he was just holding it. With that, the little pieces of salt, sand, or sugar slowly started gathering to each other. And they started getting a little bit clumpier. Mind you, it's not compressing, it's just gathering together. Mass has gravity, and the reason I'm saying this is that therefore there is no sun, it's just Earth, the moon, no other planets immediate in our vicinity. Gravity would take us somewhere. Not quite sure where, but we would be gliding towards whatever gravity is influencing our position within space.
All right. I do have another online question, and that was, what is the furthest planet you can see from a telescope at your observatory? And I believe I actually know the answer to that one.
Then you should answer it.
Well, I believe on a clear night when all the conditions align and the sun and moon are in the correct position and we've consulted the astrology horoscope, we can actually see all of them in certain telescopes. However, past Jupiter, I want to say, the viewing does become a bit less impressive because you can't see as many features. That being said, the closer ones, such as Venus, for example, you would be able to see, much like our moon, where it has phases because of how close it is to the sun.
Correct.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ken?
Furthest planet that we can see with a telescope is Neptune. Pluto is too far and a little too dark. Don't get me wrong, we can see Neptune with our telescopes here. With some of the big telescopes, of course, by scientific organizations, Chile, whatever, they can probably see Pluto. But Neptune's the furthest planet that we can see.
All right. Is there another audience?
Oh,
Here it is.
Hi, Ken. Have you ever traveled to a dark sky location in the U.S.?
yes, I have. And all of us can very easily with a car. It's called Cherry Springs State Park. It's located north of, believe it or not, if you don't believe me, look it up on the map. It's located north about an hour from Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania. And yeah, on a good clear night, comparing it to a good clear night here is like probably 3 to 5 times more stars. I had problems actually locating the Big Dipper. It's that bright with stars. And on a new moon where the moon is not, of course, visible at all in that evening, I could see around with really not too much difficulty. Even though I can't see you guys in the back because I got a light here in my eyes, but whatever. Not using that as an excuse. But yes, other than that, I've been to Aruba. Aruba being a touristy place, they do have 1/3 of the island's a national park, and they have a club there that I happen to visit. It was kind of good. I got to see the Southern Cross for the first time, which is their focal point for their telescopes, not the North Star.
All right. Are there any more questions from our audience here?
No.
All right.
Online?
So, I did put out a last call for online questions. So while I'm waiting to see if there were any last minute questions, I want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you for remaining socially distanced. A couple housekeeping, one last housekeeping thing. When you do decide to leave here for the night, we ask that you do use your headlights. Yes, it does ruin some night vision, but we prefer not hitting anyone in the dark. This is not, even though this, oh, hey, thank you for demonstrating. We don't need high beams, but headlights are appreciated because we don't like getting run over. It hurts. So, with that, thank you for coming. Thank you, Ken, for a lovely presentation. It looks like there are no more questions from our online audience. So, have a good night. I do believe although we might have a observatory open where you can look inside and see a telescope, the viewing is a bit too hazy to get a decent view through a scope, but we do have a slideshow of images from previous nights that we have taken through the scope here. Unfortunately, with COVID, we can't allow you to look through an eyepiece anymore because the constant sanitation needed would actually destroy our equipment. So for right now, we do have an electronically assisted astronomy where we use a camera to capture images and then project it onto a screen over on the observatory sheds over there. So thank you and have a good night.
Big Dipper.